We've all heard it before. If you buy or sell more than $10,000 of gold and silver, the government has to be notified. But is that actually true? I wanted to know, so I looked up the actual IRS Form 8300 instructions. And what I found is that many people, including some dealers, have oversimplified this rule. So today we're going to break down exactly what the Form 8300 says, who has to file it, and why the value of your metals is not the only thing that matters. Congratulations to Silver Serpents for getting to my comment section first in my last video. Thank you for the support, and go down into the comment section to go find Silver Serpents and check out his YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the Form 8300. This Form 8300 is the report of cash payments over $10,000 received in a trade or business. And that's the important part, received in a trade or business. Now, before we get into the video, I'm going to tell you guys I'm simply reading the information that I'm finding online on the IRS website. This information is available to you as well. A simple search for Form 8300 instructions will get you to this IRS website, and you'll be able to read along or directly read what I'm quoting from. Know that I am not a financial advisor, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not an accountant. So please do your own research and talk to the people you need to talk to when making business and tax decisions. Now that I've gotten out everything that I am not, before I forget, good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. So let's get right into the video. The biggest misconception here is clarified with the first sentence of this document. Each person engaged in trade or business who, in the course of that trade or business, receives more than $10,000 cash in one transaction or two or more related transactions. All right, so in the eyes of the IRS, an individual is different than a trade or business. This says that a trade or business, in the course of that trade or business, receiving $10,000 cash is the person who is filing this 8300. This is very different than an individual selling property. This is a trade or business that is selling goods. And in this specific circumstance, that trade or business is receiving payment of more than $10,000 in cash. We also see in the definition section, a trade or business generally includes any activity carried on for the production of income from selling goods or performing services. Remember that if you're selling goods or performing services, you should be registered with the IRS as a legitimate business. So that means businesses are the ones who file this 8300 when they receive more than $10,000 in cash. And of course, if you are selling and you do have a capital gain, that may be taxed as a regular income, but it is not defined as an income. It is a capital gain. So you're not producing an income, you're producing a capital gain. My last point here is that this instructions also shows exceptions. Cash is not required to be reported if it is received by a financial institution, a casino, an agent who receives the cash from a principal, a transaction occurring entirely outside the United States, and this last point, in a transaction that is not in the course of a person's trade or business. Here, trade or business is used as a noun, meaning that this person must have a trade or business that it is going to be filed under. So, to wrap up this specific point, an individual selling $10,000 worth of their property is not required to file an 8300 when they are receiving the cash. So who does have to report this 8300 form? This would be any trade or business that is receiving $10,000 in cash in one transaction. So now let's look at the definition of cash. We can see that the term cash means U.S. or foreign coin and currency received in any transaction, as well as a cashier's check, money order, bank draft, traveler's check having a face value of $10,000 or less. That's because those items have to be reported by the bank that issues them if they are greater than $10,000. So there's already going to be a report on those over $10,000. In addition, if you use one of those items less than $10,000 in conjunction with U.S. coin or foreign coin and currency, then the total of cash might end up being more than $10,000 and it will have to be reported. Note that on the bottom here it says cash does not include a check drawn on the payer's own account, such as a personal check, regardless of amount. So if there's a personal check less than $10,000 that would not be reported by the bank in conjunction with less than $10,000 in cash, then the sum of that total, regardless of amount, would not be reported as over $10,000 of cash. In addition, there's a requirement to file for related transactions, which are any transactions conducted between a payer and the recipient within a 24-hour period. Also, a business can volunteer to report any suspicious transactions that they may believe is structuring against filing the 8300. Know that a business may be subject to penalties if they fail to file the correct 8300 form, and that penalty can be a minimum of $25,000. There are also penalties for structuring against the 8300 and causing a business to file an incorrect 8300. Those penalties can actually be up to 5 years in prison, as well as a fine of $250,000 for individuals and a $500,000 fine for corporations. So this is important. The purpose of this video is not to teach anyone how to avoid reporting this. The purpose is to understand the rules. I'm not structuring any deals for anyone, and I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. Trying to intentionally avoid reporting requirements can create a very big problem on its own. Mostly, this video is a commentary on the fact that when you, an individual, are selling a precious metals or selling your property that will total more than $10,000, there is no requirement to file an 8300. And again, I am not a financial advisor, attorney, or accountant, so please take this to whoever you may need to in order to get very clear instruction on specifically what you are doing. Let me know if you learned anything in this video, and if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button, go down into the comments section to start or continue a conversation, share the video with anyone who needs to hear this, subscribe if you haven't already. And to my long-term subscribers, thank you so much for your continual support. Go ahead and check out josephsreserves.com for my branded merchandise, zip-up bags, coffee mugs, and of course, the It's Today Again coffee. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how small, just keep stacking.